What's good, people? It's about that time to randomly relate, reverse rants, no hate. So, look, I've been asked about Naoya Inoue, or how do you pronounce his name, versus Stephen Fulton, right? And I've been asked this question several times. What do I think about them? So, okay, let me just get straight to it. Now, their fight that was scheduled for May was rescheduled because I think they said of the injury of Inoue. And look, they're supposed to be fighting now in July, I think it is, right? So this is a big fight. I do, it would be good for boxing if the smaller guys was to get that same type of recognition. But honestly, it really depends on who's at 130. It really doesn't really go past 130 in terms of recognition with the division itself. It's always like one or two standout guys, and you know, um, nobody really talks about featherweights, bantamweights, starweights, these flyweights. They don't really talk too much about these guys. So I don't really talk about the smaller guys too much because I don't want to sit here and make videos and then nobody gives a shit about the fighters. It's like, what am I doing it for, right? Taking time out of my schedule to make a video just for people to go, who cares about them? Okay. So anyway, as far as the two fighters go, this is what I'm going to say. Watching both of these guys fight, I think they are both top-notch fighters. They both have hand speed, solid reflexes. Inoue is known for having power. Fulton is not really known for his. I mean, he's not known as like a really devastating puncher. So, in this fight, with him being the bigger guy, if Inoue's power can carry over going up, he'll still be just as dangerous to Fulton as he is in the lighter weight. Okay. For someone to let four belts to go up to fight you for yours is obvious. This is a fight that he wants. So they both want. So you have two guys that are top of the line fighters. Now, Inoue, he has that footwork where he gets in, he gets out. He likes to dictate and control the pace. And he has this, he throws punches from awkward angles. He has hand speed. Now, the majority of his inside work happens when he has his opponent on the ropes. Okay. Fulton, on the other hand, he's comfortable and just as good on the inside as he is on the outside with the distance. He's more comfortable in the center of the ring at close quarters once he gets going, like what he has to do. Whereas with Inoue, it's more like once he gets you on the ropes, that's when he comes in to fight more at close quarters. So being that he throws fast, hard combinations, he's one of those fighters that is dangerous to go on the ropes against him. Now, with Fulton's slick boxing style, I think what people are doing, though we'll see come fight night. But I think what a fallacy is, I know that if I'm training a fight, I'm not going to tell them to depend on this guy to have weaknesses, okay? They're saying that Fulton doesn't hit hard enough to beat Inoue. I keep telling people a million times over and over, you don't have to be the bigger puncher, okay? If you are slick enough to not get hit with those shots. See, slick boxers, this is what people don't understand. They nullify the strengths of their opponents. Whereas he might not be the biggest puncher, but if you're not hitting anything, guess what? You understand? It's a long night for you. Now, the biggest thing to me that works against Fulton is the fight's going to be in Japan. If it's a close fight, I doubt very seriously, even if, let's say if it's a close fight, that the majority of people clearly feel like Fulton won, I don't think they're going to give him the decision. Now, if he dominates and there are no knockdowns, hopefully there's no corrupt judging. Let me just say that hopefully there's no corrupt judging, that they call it down the middle accurately like it's supposed to. And may the better man win. It's as simple as that. But because Fulton is not expected to knock Inoue down or hurt him, you can't it's not like he's some powder puff punching guy. Okay, but I think that they're pretty much overlooking the fact that he has respectable power, because if you can't punch and nobody's walking through you, that's just like people just become robotic with that. Always claiming someone can't punch, then people should walk through him. You know what I mean? So it's not like the guys in there fighting guys and they're running through his punches, and he's a slick, sharp, accurate boxer. This is what I believe the difference between Inoue and Fulton is going to be. Now, does it make does it become a deciding factor? It depends on what they come to the ring and feel like they need to do that night. I think his accuracy, Fulton's accuracy, okay, his timing, um, his sharpness on the inside. Once he figures you out and he knows he can get to you, Inoue is not an easy target. His hands are always moving. His feet is always moving. Inoue is like, I mean, they're both to me in the same class. Okay, and I also think that his ring IQ. Okay, he knows what he's supposed to be doing, but so does Inoue. So I think for Inoue, the real difference on his side, like this is, make my point, his ability to fight on the inside, in the ring. I think he's sharper because, like I said, he does it when, you don't have to be on the ropes when you do it. But, he is a slick boxer that he's not going to stand and just take risks for no reason. Okay. But he will do what he has to do to get his shots in. So his willingness to fight on the inside, his ring IQ, okay, his counter punching ability. You understand? And I feel like his ability to nullify what his opponent is doing, having been able to put it all together, I think like that for him is what's going to be the difference between him, with him and Inoue. But I feel like Inoue's IQ is right up there with his. If his power carries over, I give him the edge in the power, but it might not be that big of a difference where it might not be such a deciding factor coming up in weight. I don't know. We'll have to see. His speed and his ability to put shots together. Timing is how you nullify, speed. And they both have fast hands. I don't see, the thing is, Inoue throws his shots more decisively, more like his accuracy. That's what I'm saying. Whereas Inoue will let his hands go, and even if everything is not landing, he'll let his hands go and switch angles on you. So the punches are coming from a different angle now, so he'll get to you. And that's usually when he get guys on the ropes. I remember the fight he had with Donaire, and that went the distance. And I remember just watching that fight, and Donaire still has something left in the tank, but Inoue was you saw in that fight him versus a guy that was more experienced, where you knew that Inoue was already a force to be reckoned with, but you knew. So, like, yeah, this guy's going to be solid. So, I mean, either way, it's not an easy fight for either guy. But if Fulton is on his A game, because everybody thinks that once he hits Fulton, it's going to be over. I mean, we'll just see how it goes. But me personally, I think that, like, when I bring up strengths and weaknesses, the whole point is you have to be able to execute come fight night. So it really doesn't matter what their strengths and weaknesses are if they can't exploit these things. And I just personally think that I think people are underestimating Fulton though. I'm just being real with you, man. I think people are really underestimating Fulton and his power. Because, like I said, when you have respectable power, you can knock a guy out. And it's not like he doesn't have knockouts. It's just more of a thing of come fight night. When you see, when me, I look at, execution, I look at consistency, and throwing volume punches See, it may get the fans jumping up, screaming. It might get the attention of the judges. But what's getting through and how you're getting counted, um, it like I said, I just hope there's no robbery. To be honest with you, I just hope there's no robbery for boxing's sake. That they call this fight like that the right man get his hand raised. But in all honesty, between the two, I know that Inoue can't look at Fulton the way the fans are. Because if he goes in there thinking, man, I'm just gonna walk through this guy, or once I hit him, it could all go wrong for either guy to take the other guy. Like, people always, oh, black fighters are slick, and yeah, well, right, whatever. Fulton knows how. He is a slick boxer, but he knows how to put it all together. So even for the shots that he throws, that yeah, they may not have devastating impact, but the problem is the opponents can barely get out of the way of them. So if you can't see the shots coming, those are the shots that hurt you, right? Because you don't see the shots coming. So basically, it's a thing of the way he puts everything together. Yeah, yeah, he's a definitely a huge threat to any of these guys in those divisions. So I don't know, man. Like I said, Inoue is the favorite, especially the fight happening in Japan. But I'm not on any bandwagon trying to say what everybody else is saying. I'm saying what I see in both guys. You know, I'll say it again for Inoue, his power, his footwork and movement, his shots has to be calculated. He can't just go throwing shots just to throw shots. Fulton he's too skilled for that. Okay, for Fulton, the timing to cut his shots, to nullify the things that he does well, take those angles away from him, it's different. You see, so even me making the analogy to bring the point that the example how when you see a Nui coming on the guy and he just have the high guard or if he backs into the ropes, that's when his inside games look real vicious. But in the middle of the ring, if you're jabbing and moving your head off that center line and you have some footwork, it's not as effective for him. Fulton, I've seen him like chop guys down, walk them down. He controls that distance. And the thing is, whether he's at close range, mid, or long, he's smart. He's sharp. He knows where he should be. And again, man, you got two A-list fighters, man. That is going to come down who can execute and who can adjust and readjust. I don't think either fighter wins this fight by fighting one way the whole fight. I think both fighters are going to be pushed and tested different by each other than they have against any other opponent. And so, just saying, I'm not so big on this power thing. People keep saying it's going to be the power. He lacks power. Okay, they say that all the time. And look at where he is right now. And for people to say, yeah, but this is a new way, right? Same way. That, a new way hasn't fought anybody like Fulton. So it's going to be a huge test for both guys, man. As far as who wins, man, we just got to see what happens come fight night. I just personally think that, this is a big fight, just like Spence and Crawford, Fury and Usyk, that type of, I feel like this fight, Tank and Ryan. In terms of notoriety, that's where, these smaller guys pale in comparison because they just don't have that. They just don't get that, But yeah, I mean, yeah. So I feel like those reflexes of Stephen Fulton, his timing, his accuracy, and his sharpness on the inside is going to be the deciding factor for him. I feel like Inoue, his footwork, his head movement, his ability to land shots up and down, and land those power shots. But that's going to be the deciding factor for him. But again, they both have to execute. So I don't really care about the predictions so much, man. But I do feel like people are sleeping on Fulton. They are sleeping hard on Fulton. And, if Fulton, is catching Inoue with flush shots the same way, you guys think Inoue want to get there. I mean, remember, he got his nose is fucked up, his eye was fucked up, mouth was all fucked up when he fought against, Nito Donaire. And he didn't even fight a prime Nito Donaire. This was an up in age Nito. So just saying, it's one of these things when you go up in weight and you go up against a guy like where you're used to making guys crumble with your power. We'll see if his power carries over the same way. But again, I think his biggest advantage, honestly, is going to be the fight he's fighting in his hometown, in his home country. So it just, for me, it's just a thing of, people look at things and then what everybody's saying, they either go with that or with the other. With me, I'm just looking at the fight the way I see it. I really don't care how everybody else is looking at this fight. But me looking at it from the standpoint of both fighters seeing what they both can do, man, you know, I don't know. But I do think that between the two, because see, nobody's sleeping on anything that Inoue is doing. They're sleeping on Fulton's power. They're saying that that's the deciding factor. I doubt it. You never know, but I doubt it. We're talking. You got to remember, we talk about the elite fighters. We heard the same shit people said about Floyd. They said the same thing about Clarissa. They said the same thing about Muhammad Ali. You understand? And so on. There's so many fighters that but they don't have the power that they need to beat this person. And then they go in there. Look, y'all. You always got to understand something. When it comes to boxing, okay, people have this vision in their head that boxing is two guys tucking their chin and just standing swinging for the fences. Like, that's not boxing, okay? It might look more devastating, just like how, Pacquiao had more devastating knockouts than Floyd did. His knockouts looked more, through the years. And Floyd got to the point where he really wasn't knocking people out anymore. He just outboxing them. But the whole point is when they got in the ring and fought, that's what counts. How you nullify what you're able to nullify, what you're able to take away from your opponent. It's going to be a chess match. And this is what I'm saying. People think that, Inoue is just going to run in there and run through him. You guys are tripping. We'll see. We'll see. But we'll see. That I don't see that happening. And then people are saying, they're thinking like, this is what they think, that Fulton's going to get tired and that he's going to, wind down and then Inoue is going to take over. We will see. But at the same time, like I said, a slick, smart boxer knows how to nullify a boxer puncher. They really do. They know what they're supposed to do. Unfortunately, for guys like Chris Algieri or Paulie Malignaggi, guys that were but that couldn't because they just didn't have the power that they needed. Guys like that, you got to always understand, neither one of those guys were A-level fighters. Okay? Paulie Malignaggi, to me, at best, he was like a C+ at best. You got to look at who he fought and who he lost to. And then when people say, oh, but he went up in weight. Okay, so look at all the other fighters that went way up in weight and still was able to beat the very elite guys. So you can't put Paulie in that same category. But the category of not being a puncher, see, this is what I mean. Guys like Joey Camacho, they wasn't the biggest puncher in the world, so they could beat certain guys. But when they got in there with the very elite guys, and I'm not talking about when you get to a point where you're at the end of your career and another guy who might have had more recognition used at the end of his career, you beat him. I mean, just overall, when it really counts, you can't look at one fighter and think that it's gonna go a certain way based on everybody else's experiences in other fights. But you do need to be realistic and understand that when you look at fights, and this is not even about who I want to win. I'm not even focusing on who I want to win. I'm looking at the fight based on what I see both guys do. But what I'm saying too is, again, Inoue cannot look at Fulton the way that these fans and these other people are looking at this fight. Because I'm telling you, you do that, you take somebody for granted, you take them lightly, and all of a sudden they're doing shit that you just didn't expect them to do. And you're like, how the fuck is he doing this to me? Like, just saying. So Fulton doesn't have to knock him out. And the thing about it, people that feel like he has to knock him out if he want to win because they don't think he's going to get a decision in a close fight. Now, let me say, okay, and I've always said this, when it comes to someone trying to take your title, they have to show and prove that, okay, that's how it's always been, that, okay, I defeated this man. I took his title. if it's one of those it can go either way type fights, we already know it holds up, then it doesn't hold up, depending on who the fighters are. I just hope there's no cheating. There's no favoritism. I hope that there's no, no dirty judging. Just call the fight down the middle, and may the right person get their hand raised, whatever the outcome is going to be. But in terms of what both fighters bring to the table, you have to execute, man. You have to execute. So you don't have to be the biggest punch in the fight, but the skills, man. And let's not forget something, okay? And I bring this up because this was one of the more recent fights where I had people flooding my comment section telling me how Savannah Marshall punching power was going to be too much. Like she was going to crush Clarissa Shields. And my whole thing is, I said, so what you're saying is she's going to do to Clarissa Shields what she hadn't even done to other females who are nowhere near what Clarissa is. And, it's just this, well, I want her to do that. I hope she can do that type of thing. With Inoue, look, he's a solid fighter. Him and Fulton, both are great fighters, man. I like watching both of them fight, but I'm just telling you guys flat out. You asked me and I'm responding. They got to go in there focused. And to me, what I feel the differences is going to be between each guy, you still have to execute, and none of it's going to be easy. So, yeah, I mean, and see, the thing about when you have two complete fighters is this. Fulton has fast feet, so does Inoue. Fulton will close the distance, get in, get out. Inoue will close the distance and get in, and then kind of, he has the footwork to get in and out, but he kind of wants to, let me see what I can get in, and, those are the times when Fulton is going to have to take advantage, whether it's the jab right hand, come in, make a miss, hit him to the body, take those angles away. Stay off the ropes, and don't let Inoue start to get that momentum. Take it away. Everything that he's doing right, shut it down. For Inoue, he's gonna have to be able to get in, utilize his jab, get those angles in and get them shots off, and also go to the body, and make Fulton fight more than he wants to fight. And it might come down to a battle of attrition between the two of them. We don't know. But just looking at what I see with these guys, that's what it could come down to. Don't know. But I think they're two solid fighters, two A-list fighters that this is a fight that should happen. This is a fight that boxing needs, and hopefully it gets the attention that, can do something with, not just get attention to the fight itself, but, just boxing as a whole, man. And I'm telling you guys, though, you hearing it from me, they're sleeping on Fulton's power. But I'm telling you, if Inoue is looking at him like the fans are talking about, oh, he ain't got enough power, trust me, he can run into some shit and it can be night-night. That's real shit. The same way that he can knock out Fulton, possibly knock out Fulton can knock him out. Like believe me, same with Holyfield and Tyson. Everybody talks about, with Tyson's power, man. Nah, when Tyson hit motherfuckers. Like, did y'all not see the Peter McNeely fight? Did y'all not see the Buster Matthews Jr. fight? Right. So just saying, somehow he was going to be too much for Holyfield. It took them to get in there for people to see it. Like, yeah, it's different. Once you in there, it's always easier to compare based on what a fighter did to another fighter. But when you get in there with when those two get in, now what? It was a whole different fight. I mean, we have so many examples, man. George Foreman was going to be too much for Muhammad Ali. Why? Because he destroyed Norton and Frazier. And both of those guys beat Ali. Ali beat them, but bottom line, they couldn't stand up to George. What happened when Ali and Foreman got in there? So every time, but what happened? Yeah, what happened was Ali did what he was supposed to do and he won. That's what happened. So just saying, and I'll say it again. For people, and I'm emphasizing on it because the only weaknesses that people are bringing up or making a weakness is Fulton is not a big banger. I don't see that as a weakness. It's not like he has no power. Okay, he's just not a devastating puncher. So when they're comparing the both, people are saying that the deciding factor between the two is they're equals except for the power department. Then they're talking about his ability to throw combinations, but they're just two different type of fighters. That's all. They're two different type of fighters. Fulton is a boxer You know, he's a great counter puncher where Inoue is a boxer puncher. It's simple. Simple. But what's not so simple is what it's going to take to nullify each other. As I said, and I'll say it again, I don't think either guy wins the fight by fighting one particular way all night. They're going to have to make adjustments, readjustments. That's the way I see the fight because that's the IQ, how high both of these fighters' IQ is. Okay, but we'll just have to see. But stop sleeping on Fulton's power, yo. I'm telling you, you guys are saying this shit, but he catch Inoue trying to be disrespectful to his power, coming in, thinking and running into some shit, just like Pacquiao Marquez, right? Pacquiao loading up on them shots, came in, Marquez timed him, bam! What happened? It was night-night, and it could happen. So, anyway, that's my take on Inoue versus, Fulton. Talk to me in the comment section. Never fall in love with lies. Remember, the truth brings hate out of people, and I will catch y'all on the next video.